Greetings, YouTube. I've pretty much lived in apartments my whole life. For a very brief time, I think it was like 6 months, during my mother's second marriage, I lived in a house. Before then, and ever since then, I've rented. I can remember living in rental units far back as when I was 3, and I've lived in some of the rental units for quite some time. 5 years one place, 11 years in the next, and I've been in my current apartment for 5 years. Now, I dream of being an owner. I want to live in a house. I want my own piece of land. I want to put a sign at the end of my driveway that says, "Do not trespass." I want my own space. I want to be able to have a shop in the basement, a guest room that doubles as an office, a master bedroom, maybe even with a private bath. That would be cool. But even just one bath for the whole house, and I'd be happy. I don't need a huge house. I'd like one a little bigger than my apartment is now. Probably something in the 13 to maybe 1,500 foot range. Though I could go a little smaller than that if I really had to. I wouldn't mind a garage, but that's not entirely necessary. Just a carport would do. It would make it easier for parking cars. Just having off-street parking would be wonderful, because I don't have that. So I have to park on the street, which means having to do odd-even parking in the winter, and I sleep in the daytime, so I wake up to find that the city has plowed my car in, because even though I can legally park during the daytime, during the winter, they plow me in, and occasionally I go outside to find 5-foot drifts burying my vehicle. It's oh so much fun to have that be your first thing you do after waking up. Now, I don't really mind renting in a lot of ways. I mean, there's a lot of things around here that I don't have to deal with. If something's busted, I call my landlord, he fixes it. Or at least in theory. There are things I do. I've put weather sealing around some of the doors. I put insulation in the French door that's in my library. It's a sunroom, and in the wintertime, even with the blinds up, it gets wicked cold in there. So I insulate it to keep that cold from getting in the rest of my apartment. In the summertime, even with the blinds down, it gets like an oven in there. I mean, if it's like 85 degrees in my apartment, it can be almost 100 in that room. And there's no air movement in there, because I don't want air, water and such to get in the room, because it's my library. It's where my bookshelves are. So that room is closed most of the time. It's about a 2-month period at the beginning of the season and 2-month period at the end where I keep it open, and the cats take advantage of that. But I never have enough storage here. There's never enough room for my bookshelves. I mean, I have a 2-bedroom apartment, and we have 21 bookshelves. 20 of those bookshelves are mine. And of that, 60 linear feet of it is just role-playing games. But I want a house. I've dreamed about owning a house every single day of my life that I can remember. I've daydreamed. I've designed homes in my head. I've bought plan books so I could look at them and play with the ideas. I've come up with designs that were built into silos, that were octagonal, that were straw bale, that were made out of stone, that homes I see along the road that I know they're for sale and, might just meet my criteria, and I daydream about what it would be like to live in them. There's a 2-unit building right now near a cemetery that my stepbrother's in that looks really cool. It'd be great to be able to put my mother-in-law on the first floor and me on the second floor, and across the street I've got my stepbrother in his mausoleum and neighbors who are never going to make any noise. And I know that land is never going to be anything but a cemetery. My wife would love to own too. One of the reasons is we'd finally be able to have a dog, because I'm not going to own a dog while I live in an apartment. I have 3 cats. Cats are much easier to keep than dogs are when it comes to walking and things. But there are things I don't like about living in an apartment. My neighbors can be noisy. People can smoke while walking outside the building, and it comes into my windows when I have the fans going. Sometimes neighbors can be rude or inconsiderate. And I've had some pretty doozy neighbors in the past. I guess right now, it's not a great time to be a buyer. In some markets it is a good time to be a buyer. It hasn't bottomed out in where I live, and my wife would love to take advantage of it when it does. But that entails a level of investment that I don't think I have. Even with a tax break, and I think there's some tax breaks out there, like they basically give you $8,000 so you can buy a home, because homeowners are a stabilizing influence in society. But even with that as a down payment, I don't know if I can afford the mortgage payment along with the insurance and whatever else gets rolled into that. Because it can't be a whole lot of money. I don't have a whole lot of money. But I'd love to own a home. A space that I can call my own. A space that I can honestly exclude people from if I don't want them there, and invite in those I want. A place where I can have a dog, a shop, where I can tinker around and beat metal and maybe make some knives, or just twitter with things in my shop and fix them or break them and try to fix them. My space. It's a dream I've had my whole life, and I'm hoping before I die I get to see it fulfilled.